Hello everyone, welcome back to my YouTube channel Food Tech Geeks, where I, Rachna Sharma, upload videos, lectures, tutorials, exam guidance and career guidance videos on food science and technology. So this video is the lecture number 4 on food fundamentals, where today we will discuss about what are the various components and functions of food. So let us first understand what is food. So a very basic definition of food, which includes anything which is edible and can be either in solid, semi-solid or liquid form, and when it is ingested, swallowed, digested and assimilated by body, it proves beneficial to the body. It will perform certain functions to the body. So this is the very basic and common definition of food. So after definition of food, now let us understand what are the various components of food. So in the components, the number one is the moisture. Moisture means the water present in the food. So I have made a separate video on this, lecture number 3, that is water activity. Everything related to this I have covered in that. You can check out that video also. So every food material contains moisture, whether it be solid or a liquid product. Like for example, milk has nearly 85% of water, and the grains, which seems to be very dry, also contain certain amount of water, for example up to 12%. So every food, whether it is in powder form, liquid form, slurry form, every food product contains certain amount of moisture. And the water can be either free water and the bound water. Free water is the water which is available for the microbial growth. Bound water is that water which is being bounded in the molecular formulas. So there are two types of water, free water and bound water. And the moisture content plays a very important role in deciding what is the processing method, what is the packaging required, and what are the various preservative techniques to extend the shelf life of that particular product. So all these things are determined by what is the moisture content of the food. So next is carbohydrates. Carbohydrates are the hydrates of carbon, hydrogen and oxygen. Carbohydrates are those compounds which give aldehyde or ketone upon their hydrolysis. So this is the definition which we all have learnt in class 12th. So a very basic definition. And carbohydrate is considered as the fuel for the body because it is the primary source of human energy. Our body first utilize carbohydrate for energy. If carbohydrate is not available, then the body will use protein and fat for energy. So it is the primary source of energy. So carbohydrate can be classified as unavailable carbohydrates and available carbohydrates. So first, let's see what are available carbohydrates. As the name suggests, available carbohydrates are those carbohydrates which are available for the body for the energy purpose. So these are those carbohydrates which are digested by the body and then they are assimilated by the body in the form of glucose, and ultimately it will provide energy to the body. Whereas unavailable carbohydrates are those carbohydrates which are not digested and assimilated by body. Hence, they are not available for the body for the purpose of energy. So unavailable carbohydrates are of two types. One is non-starch polysaccharides and the other one is dietary fibers. So dietary fibers are having a very major role in our diet and for our health also. So dietary fibers can be classified as soluble dietary fibers and insoluble dietary fibers. So soluble dietary fibers are those which will attract the water and they will turn into gel during digestion. So what they will do, they will slow down the digestion process and thus they will not increase the glucose content of the blood instantly. So they help in reducing the bad cholesterol and blood sugar. And the examples are soluble dietary fibers are present in oats, barley, beans, fruits, pulses, etc. And that is why oats are considered as very good option for breakfast. The second one is insoluble dietary fibers. As the name suggests, they are not solubilizing in the body. So what they will do, they will add bulk to the stool and thus it will help in the easy and quick pass of the stool through stomach and intestine. So that is why the insoluble dietary fibers are being taken by those who are on their weight loss, because it will give the bulkiness and the feeling of fullness to the stomach. So it is present in wheat bran, wheat grains, and vegetables. So this is about carbohydrates, and everything about carbohydrates and all the various components we will be covering in detail in food chemistry classes. There we will discuss about the structure and the various components and the properties of carbohydrates in detail. Proteins. So proteins are the organic nitrogenous compounds having slightly higher molecular weight, and they are made up of amino acids, different amino acids joined together by peptide bonds. So in nature there are 21 amino acids, and out of these 21 there are certain essential amino acids and there are non-essential amino acids. Don't go by the name that non-essential are not important for body. Both amino acids are important for the body, only the name suggests non-essential amino acids are those which our body will manufacture by its own, while essential amino acids are those amino acids which we require to supply to the body through our diet, and that is why they are considered as essential amino acids. We have to take care of these amino acids so that they can be supplied to the body through our diet, and therefore they are known as essential amino acids. And there are various sources of proteins like pulses, milk, egg, and many. Milk and egg are considered as of high biological value food because they contain almost all the essential amino acids and are having a greater bioavailability, means the amino acids are being available to the body. Therefore milk and egg are considered as of high biological value. This question can be asked in competitive exams out of the 4 options, which are one having high biological value. So the fourth component of the food is fat. So fats are triglycerides of fatty acids. So the subunit of fats is fatty acid. They are made up of fatty acids. Fats are important for our cell membranes, hormones, and the fat soluble vitamins. And the fat is being stored in adipose tissues, and it helps in insulating the body and provides cushioning effect in between the various organs. So fats can be classified as saturated fatty acids, monounsaturated fatty acids, and polyunsaturated fatty acids. So from our previous knowledge, we know that saturated fatty acids are having single bond, monounsaturated fatty acids are having one double bond, and polyunsaturated fatty acids are having multiple double bonds. So the examples are given: saturated fatty acids like the solid fat which we obtain from milk, then monounsaturated fat are coconut oil, and for polyunsaturated fatty acids we can see for sunflower oil, safflower oil. So these are examples of polyunsaturated fatty acids. And there are certain essential fatty acids, like as we have done for essential amino acids. In the fat only, let's understand another term, that is trans fat. So on the basis of their configuration, fats can be classified as cis fat and trans fat. So in the nature, all the fats and oils which are present are of cis nature. However, there are certain trans fat which exist in nature. So naturally in small amount they are present in milk and milk products, because these trans fats are created in the stomach of ruminant animals. So on a broader scale, all the natural fats are of cis configuration, but certain amount of trans fat is present in milk and milk products because they are being created in the stomach of ruminant animals. After that, we can manufacture trans fat by our own. We can produce the trans fat by the hydrogenation of vegetable oils. So we know that vegetable oils are unsaturated fatty acids. So in the hydrogenation process, we add hydrogen in the presence of a catalyst, that is nickel, palladium, and etc. So we add hydrogen, and that's how the unsaturated fatty acids convert into saturated fatty acids, and that's how trans fats can be manufactured. Next, we have vitamins. So vitamins are the organic compounds which our body require in a very limited amount. Either in milligram or microgram, they are required in very small amount, and they are also known as accessory nutrients. They are protective nutrients. They provide a lot number of health benefits, like they are important for normal metabolism of carbohydrate, fat, and proteins. They are important for the growth and development and for the regulation of the cell function. So they are having a very crucial important role in our body system. So vitamins can be divided into two parts: water soluble vitamins and fat soluble vitamins. So water soluble vitamins are those vitamins which will solubilize in water. Fat soluble vitamins are those which will be stored in fat. So the examples for water soluble vitamins are being given: vitamin B complex and vitamin C, and fat soluble are vitamin A, D, E, K. And the water soluble vitamins are being excreted from the body with urine, with sweat. So it is important to consume the food rich in water soluble vitamins because they are constantly being excreted out from the body. Next, we have minerals. So minerals are the elements other than carbon, hydrogen, oxygen, and nitrogen. So there are a number of minerals like calcium, iodine, magnesium, iron, phosphorus. So there are a lot number of minerals which are important for our body. They are found in very low concentration in food, but they play a very significant role in our health and nutrition. So around 90 elements occur in the Earth's crust, and out of these, 25 are known to have importance in the living cells. So here in this picture, I have tried to cover mostly important minerals which are required for the body. You can check them out. So here with this, we complete the components of food. About all these we will be covering in detail in food chemistry class. Now let's move to the another part of the lecture, that is functions of food. So now only we have seen what are the various components of food. So these all components are having certain important function in the body. So the function of food we have classified into three. One is physiological function, psychological function, and social function. So these are the three major functions which food plays. So let us first see what are the various physiological functions of the food. So the number one is we are performing various activities, various voluntary activities and involuntary activities. You all might be knowing what are voluntary and involuntary activities: moving our hands, walking, sitting. So these are voluntary actions, and the breathing process, the circulatory process, everything which our body is performing inside are the involuntary actions. So energy is required for both voluntary as well as involuntary activities. So the food provides energy to the body. It acts as a fuel for the body. As for cars, we need diesel as a fuel. So in the same way, for our body, food acts as a fuel. So carbohydrate, proteins, fats all provide energy to the body. However, our body utilize carbohydrate as a primary source of energy, and after then it will use fat and proteins. They provide calories to the body which are being utilized by the body. So the carbohydrates, proteins, and fats are the energy giving food. Majorly carbohydrate and fats are considered as energy giving food. Now the second one is, we know every time our body is undergoing certain repairments and growth, every second a lot number of cells die and a lot number of new cells develop in our body. So for all these repairments and replacing of injured and dead cells, we need to have the food which will help in the body building, the growth of muscles, the repairment of the cells. So for all these functions, we require protein and certain minerals like calcium, iron, and phosphorus, and they will help in the muscles formation, blood formation, skeletal tissue formation. So all the bodybuilding activities are also being performed by food. Now the third one is, apart from energy and bodybuilding, our body also needs certain regulatory nutrients which will protect the body from various disease and various injuries, and they will regulate the various activities of the body. So for that we have vitamins and minerals as the regulatory nutrients. So vitamins regulate different process of the body like growth, eyes, health of skin, metabolism of various nutrients. So all these different processes are being regulated by vitamins. Minerals are important as they are biological catalyst. We know a lot number of reactions, biochemical reactions are being going inside our body. So for all these reactions, there are certain catalysts. There are certain biological catalysts, and these minerals act as biological catalyst. Water and roughage are also considered as regulatory nutrients because we know mostly our body is made up of water. So water is very important. Every nutrient is being transported with the help of water. So water is very, very crucial. And then is the roughage. Now only we have discussed what is the importance of dietary fiber and roughage in the body. So they regulate the different processes of the body. That is why they are known as regulatory and protective nutrients. Next, we have psychological function. Psychological function means that is to be have some relation with our psychology or with mind. So when we eat the food, it gives us a satiety value. It gives us certain satisfaction. So that is being connected with the food. When we eat the food which we like, it gives us a sense of pleasure and we enjoy the eating the food. So that is how the food is being related to our psychology. And food is also a mood changer, mood conditioner. It will change our mood. So this is the psychological function of food. After that, we have social function of food. So in the social function, it has certain socio-cultural role. It is having a very important place in our society and in our culture. In most of our festivals, certain foods are having a great importance, and for those festivals that particular food is always prepared, so they are having a very deep root in our culture. And at every social gathering and function, food is the main highlight of the function. Food is always there in any type of function, and it paves way for social relation development. Whenever we have to show our affection to somebody, we offer certain food to them. On the festivals also, we share the food, we share gifts as well, but food has an important role in those socio cultural activities. And food shows celebration, unity. So that is how food is having a social function. So these three are the functions of food: physiological function, psychological function, and social function. So here I have tried to sum up the various foods. In the picture one, there are complex carbohydrates and simple carbohydrates. Then we are having the carbohydrate rich food, then protein rich food. These are the fruits and vegetables, which are good source of vitamins and minerals, regulatory foods. And then we have fats and oils. So these are the various food groups which provide various nutrients, and all the nutrients are very important to be supplied to the body in a very balanced manner, because the deficiency or the excessiveness of any nutrient will lead harm to the body. So a balanced diet is very, very important for a healthy body and healthy mind. With this, we complete the lecture on components and functions of food. So please like the video and subscribe to the channel, as in the coming days I will be uploading lectures on different disciplines like dairy technology, food chemistry. So all these disciplines will be covered one by one. So please subscribe to the channel. Till then, stay safe, stay healthy. Thank you.